They called it the City of Blood. But before the smoke, before the fire, it was the City of Light. A place of perfect order, of art and power, where the walls stretched beyond sight and the streets ran straight as if drawn by the gods themselves. When the first Europeans arrived, they froze staring at a city so clean, so vast, they whispered in disbelief, this is greater than anything in Europe. This was Benin. The jewel of West Africa. A city that shone brighter than London until the world tried to erase it. Long before European sails cut across the Atlantic, deep in the emerald rainforests of southern Nigeria, the Edo people were building something extraordinary. They called their ruler the Oba, a king, a priest, a living bridge between man and the gods. From the chaos of scattered tribes rose a single, powerful dynasty. The Kingdom of Benin. Legend says its first true king, qqqqI, was born of divine blood, a child descended from the heavens, sent to bring unity where there was only war. Under his reign, the forest began to pulse with purpose. Villages merged. Walls rose. And out of the mist, a kingdom was born. By the 13th century, Benin wasn't just a city, it was a miracle carved from earth. At its heart stood the royal palace, a labyrinth of courtyards, shrines, and bronze-covered pillars. Every corner told a story, every surface glowed with meaning. Surrounding it, the great walls of Benin, vast earthwork stretching over 16,000 kilometers. For times longer than the Great Wall of China. Raised by human hands, shovel by shovel, generation after generation. These weren't mere defenses, they were symbols. Unity. Discipline. Civilization. Portuguese explorers, arriving in the 1400s, wrote in disbelief, "The city is more orderly than any in Europe." And its art, those breathtaking Benin bronzes, captured kings, warriors, and spirits with divine precision. Each plaque a heartbeat in metal, each casting a prayer made eternal. Then came Oba the Great. The visionary who turned Benin into legend. He rebuilt the city after a great fire, expanded its borders with brilliant strategy, and opened its gates to the world. Benin became the beating heart of West Africa's trade. Ivory, pepper, and cloth flowed out, mirrors, coral beads, and knowledge flowed in. Portuguese envoys stood in awe at his court, while Benin's ambassadors sailed to Lisbon, two empires, two civilizations, meeting in peace. For a time, it seemed the world had found balance. Africa and Europe not enemies, but equals. But the true power of Benin was not in gold, nor in walls, it was in its Oba. The Oba was more than a king. He was sacred. His breath was the breath of the ancestors, his throne, the altar of the gods. At every coronation, the new Oba walked barefoot on sacred soil to feel the earth he was sworn to protect. None could look him directly in the eyes. He was both man and mystery, the center of balance between the living and the spirit world. And as long as the Oba ruled, the kingdom believed it would never fall. They were almost right. Centuries passed. The drums of trade grew quieter, replaced by the drums of empire. Europe no longer came to trade. It came to take. By the late 1800s, the British Empire hungered for control. The Oba of Benin, Ovenramwan Nagbesai, resisted. He shut his gates to corruption and deceit, choosing sovereignty over submission. To Britain, that was defiance. To Benin, it was dignity. But to history, it was the beginning of tragedy. January 1897. A British delegation marched toward Benin City, claiming they came in peace. But they came with guns. Local warriors struck first, a desperate act to protect their home. The British called it murder. Then came vengeance. Weeks later, over 1,000 British soldiers stormed Benin. They burned the city. They looted the palaces. They destroyed centuries of art and faith. The sacred bronzes, royal records, ancestral offerings were shipped to Europe by the thousands. The British called it the Punitive Expedition. History calls it what it was. The day one of Africa's greatest civilizations was erased by fire. When the flames died, Benin City lay in ruin. Oba Ovenramwan was captured, exiled to a foreign land, where he died far from the soil of his fathers. But though his kingdom burned, its spirit never turned to ash. The Edo rebuilt. They prayed. They remembered. Through song and story, the griots carried Benin's memory across time, so that even in silence, the lion still roared. A century later, the world began to awaken. Scholars, artists, and descendants demanded the truth, return what was stolen. And slowly, they listened. One by one, the bronzes began their journey home, not as relics, but as souls returning to their people. For the Edo, this was more than restitution. It was resurrection. Each bronze carried a whisper of homecoming, each sculpture, a piece of identity reborn. Today, Benin City rises once more. Archaeologists uncover its ancient walls, proof of an engineering marvel the world once doubted. Bronze casters still shape fire into memory, their hands repeating a 1,000-year-old prayer. The descendants of the Obas still walk the sacred ground, their lineage unbroken, their legacy alive. The world may have forgotten Benin, but Benin never forgot itself. The story of Benin is not just about loss. It is about endurance. A people who built greatness with their hands, defended it with their hearts, and rebuilt it with their memory. Empires rise and fall. But true spirit cannot be conquered. If greatness is measured by what endures, then Benin was never defeated. If this story stirred something in you, don't let it fade into silence. Like this video, share it. And subscribe to Past Unfolded so the world remembers Africa not for what was taken but for what was built. Because every empire falls, but stories live forever.